You're so beautiful. Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Elle and this is Elle's Reptiles. This week we are doing a video that I kind of did one very similar to it a few weeks ago about the biggest mistakes that new bearded dragon owners keep. So today, following that same theme, I thought we'd do a biggest mistakes that new ball python owners make. This is Sterling and he wanted out of his tank, so he's gonna hang out with us today.
And now I'm here.
This is Den, and before we get started, this video is sponsored by The Ridge. The Ridge is a super awesome company that makes these super awesome wallets, so make sure to stay until the end to learn all about this really cool company.
And now I'm gone.
Let's get started. So the first one that we're going to talk about is having bare ball python tanks. Many people see the way that breeders keep ball pythons in tubs and they think that ball pythons don't really need a lot of things in their tanks, and that's just not true. All reptiles need enrichment, but ball pythons definitely need enrichment. They need things to do. Ball pythons not only explore the grounds of their tank, they have been known to occasionally burrow and they like to climb. So giving them lots of things to do in that tank is going to help them be happier reptiles. I have a video all about enrichment and why it's so important right here if you are interested in that. But just know that all reptiles need things to do in those tanks. Next up is just keeping their tanks too dry. A lot of times, especially in chain pet stores, you will see ball pythons being kept on aspen, and that just isn't good for them. Ball pythons sometimes, not all ball pythons obviously because all snakes are different, but sometimes ball pythons have difficulty shedding, and like Sterling here, Sterling has always had a really hard time shedding, so we want to keep them on something that's going to hold in humidity. These guys are naturally found in Central and Western Africa where there are dry seasons, but they also get a lot of rain and have quite a lot of humidity spikes. And on top of that, these guys are usually found near water sources, so humidity is a good thing for them. That does not mean that the tank should be sopping wet. The soil should never be dripping wet. That can cause scale rot and respiratory infections, but keeping a steady humidity of about 50 to 60% for these guys is going to be fantastic. And if you're still uncomfortable with the idea of having a wetter tank than something like aspen, you can also give them a humid hide, just a big box full of sphagnum moss for them to go and shed when it is that time, just to help them get that shed off. You can approach that however you want, just make sure that their tank isn't bone dry all of the time. The next one is a huge one, especially if you've never kept ball pythons before, and that is panicking when they don't eat. Ball pythons are known to go on hunger strikes. Every time I say this, there's always a couple comments saying ball pythons don't go on hunger strikes. This person has never gone on a hunger strike. It is very well known that ball pythons will go on hunger strikes. Sterling here, during certain times of the year, he will go months without eating, and that's just kind of what he does. He does it every single year. Now, it's very important that you make sure that there's not a reason for that hunger strike. Definitely check their hotspot, make sure that it is at a good temperature, make sure that it is around 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Definitely check their humidity, make sure it's not super low and it's not super high, make sure they have water, make sure that they feel safe and secure in that tank, make sure there's a lot of enrichment, a lot of hiding spaces. If everything is okay and your ball python is behaving normally, they're not lethargic, they're not hiding all the time. These are nocturnal animals, so they will hide during the day. As long as they're not acting out of the usual, then they're probably fine. When they are going on these hunger strikes, again, do not panic, but you can get a kitchen scale and stick a bowl on the kitchen scales and just keep an eye on their weight. Make sure that they don't drop weight quickly, because if they're dropping weight and they're not eating, then there might be another issue that needs to be dealt with. Otherwise, just know that if you get a ball python, there's probably going to be a time when you're going to spend a lot of money on rats that don't get eaten. That just kind of comes with it. On that same topic of eating, another mistake that new keepers make is handling right after you fed them or directly before you feed them. The before is kind of iffy. Some people can handle their ball pythons right before they eat and it's fine, but some ball pythons get a little excited if they are out and being handled and then they just don't want to eat. It's just another reason for them to refuse food. But handling right after they eat can be harmful for them. It could cause them to regurgitate that food, and we definitely don't want that. We want to keep that meal down, because regurgitation situation leads to negative feelings about food for them, and it leads to them no longer wanting to eat. So that leads to more hunger strikes. So we want to do everything that we can to make sure that these guys are going to continue eating. So definitely a big precaution that I always recommend: don't handle them the day that you're going to feed them, and wait at least 24 hours after feeding them to handle them again. Just a precaution. And the last one is not having a veterinarian picked out. This was actually also on my bearded dragon list of this same sort of video. This is a big one. Normally when people get a reptile, they're not really looking at vets because it is a new animal, it is healthy, it is happy, and you don't really need a vet when you have a healthy, happy animal. However, finding a vet for reptiles isn't the easiest thing. It's not as simple as going down to the vet that sees your cats and dogs and getting them seen. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it is not. Finding a reptile specialist that also sees snakes can be another difficult barrier. There was a while that I could not find anyone to look at Sterling because I guess a lot of reptile vets are scared of snakes. They wouldn't see him. But it is important that you are prepared for any kind of situation before you get your animal. I get so many messages of people asking what they should do because there is not a reptile vet near them and they weren't prepared for that. So it's very important to just fix that situation before it happens. I will leave at least one, maybe two if I can find it, different websites where you can actually just go and search for reptile specialists in your area. Not saying that the ones listed are the only ones, but it kind of is helpful. It's just a good place to start. A good rule of thumb is if you have a zoo somewhere in your area, try looking in that city at their vets to see if they see reptiles, because that zoo usually has vets coming in and out of it checking on their animals. If you have a town with a zoo in it, check that town because there probably is a vet in that town that will see your reptile. But that is it for this week's video. Super short video. I have been doing so many long videos and we have been so busy just trying to get videos and stuff out, so I wanted to do a quick, short, easy video this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any tips for new ball python owners, definitely leave those in the comments below because you might help someone out. As I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by The Ridge.
As some of you might know, one of my hobbies is everyday carry stuff, which is like little tools and knickknacks, things like knives and flashlights or little multi-tools. But after a while, that stuff starts to fill up your pockets and take up space. So one thing that I really like is this little Ridge wallet here. This little Ridge wallet is so nice. It's tiny, it's very minimalistic. It takes up almost no space in my pocket. And it comes in a I really like my color right there.
These wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus there's room for cash, or if you're like him, you can just put your EDC stuff in that section. And they also are super durable, and the Ridge offers a lifetime warranty on these wallets, which is amazing. The Ridge was kind enough to also give you guys a discount code, so use code Elle's Reptiles or go to ridge.com/Elle's Reptiles and you can get 10% off of your purchase of one of these awesome wallets. Thank you so much to The Ridge for sending us this and for sponsoring this video.
I love it.
As always, if you have not already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials and like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is every Sunday and some Wednesdays. This week's Instagram shoutout is for Beta Gecko for following me on Instagram and going through and liking so many of my things. And this week's subscriber shoutout is here because I'm recording this video super early. Thank you guys both so much for the support. You are the bee's knees. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye. But just know that all reptiles need things to do in their tanks. Are found in central through... These guys naturally are found in central and west. And they also, and these guys like to hang out, and these guys also, I would always recommend, don't feed them the day that you're going to, don't hand, and the last one is, I know the vet, I know there is a place, and
now I'm here.
This is Den, and before we get started, dang it.
And now I'm here.
This is Den, and before this video gets started...
And now I'm here. Oh, is that my bad? And now I'm here.
This is Den, and before...